Welcome to Dear Lover, a space where we are leading with the question, what's possible if we all prioritise being our own best lover? On this podcast, we are reconnecting with our true nature and awakening to our innate power together. We'll be sharing honest stories, insights and reflections from my own journey, as well as inspiring interviews and conversations that give you practical tools and steps to own your authentic nature and creative power. So subscribe for a weekly dose of love, creativity, empowerment, and sacred self-romance. Connect and send me a DM on Instagram. You can find me at Amy Reed Poetry to let me know what you resonate with and what you want to hear more of. So let's trust, breathe and believe and create magic together. Hello and welcome to this short mini-series of 3 episodes on gifts and lessons of living and teaching abroad for 8 years. I have put this down into three episodes, and on each episode I'll go through, give examples of like life abroad and how I've come to this like gift and lesson. I mean, these are lessons that can be general as well, we can gifts and lessons that we can also just learn through our process of life. But I do feel like in the process of living and teaching abroad, the reason that I want to just record this in like a mini series here right now is number one is to celebrate living and teaching abroad for 8 years. Because if you don't know, I've come to the decision that I'm not going to Costa Rica now. Backstory, I'm a qualified British primary teacher of 10 years. 10 years ago, 2014, I qualified at the University of East London as a primary special needs teacher. And I worked in London for 2 years. And then in 2016, I moved abroad. I lived and taught in Thailand for 2 years, and then then from there I moved to Hong Kong and I taught there for 2 years, and then I moved to Spain and I worked in a Montessori school for about 8 months before leaving the classroom and working self-employed as an online tutor. And I did that for the next year and a half 2 years and a half in Barcelona. So I actually lived in Barcelona for 3 years, and then the final year I was in Spain, I moved to Menorca, and then I moved down to live with my parents for 3 months, which was so good for me. Such a challenge, but such a deep point of growth. And so I spent that final year in Menorca and at my parents, and have decided, I actually left Spain the 14th of June with the intention of going to then teach in Costa Rica. I was having interviews at Costa Rican schools these past months and so. My flight was originally tomorrow to Costa Rica, literally Saturday, the 17th of August, and I have decided to not get on that flight. And you will find out in the course of all these episodes of this podcast, like, why, right? And, it will become very clear through future episodes of Dear Lover as to why I made a decision. But ultimately, just, to sum it up in a bow now for you, it's more truly aligned with my higher self, my true essence, my true nature, and my innate power and creativity, that I stay exactly where I am and create a life in London. So that's what I'm doing. I'm currently now looking for a job as a special needs teacher in a special school in London, in Southeast London. Southeast London is where I was born. So I'm literally in this process of going home. If you haven't listened to the Yoni Egg episode previously to this kind of gives a bit more in-depth backstory and feelings and emotions as to the whole coming home process and what I felt in that 30 days plus of using the Yoni Egg, and how I've come to this decision, because it was a decision that was not taken lightly, for sure. Oh, for sure. It's been a long time coming. I feel like, honestly, it's been since August 2023 as to why, and I'll explain another episode why particularly August 2023 was when the seed was planted in terms of coming to live in London. That's a whole nother episode, which is very exciting, that we'll get into. But yeah, so here we are. Right now, like I said, these 3 episodes I'm going to give you now, Lessons in Life from Teaching Abroad, are a celebration. Honestly, they're a freaking celebration of, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm so full of gratitude. I'm so full of love. I'm so full of compassion, and I want to share it. And I'm so full of joy. I'm so full of childlike wonder and curiosity. And I want to share it. You know, I've kind of come faced with reality, you know, of coming home, of, you know, kind of landing here, back at my nan's, you know, I'm literally calling this episode my nan's floor. And I've just spent about 2 weeks of my self-make retreat at my best friend's house in the countryside. And it's been wonderful, just what I needed. But now I'm here. So I'm still in celebration mode. So come with me, celebrate with me, and let's dive right into this episode. So this episode is focused on like the number one. Oh my goodness, there were so many gifts and lessons. I had a whole note section on this series, but so to bring it down to 3 is quite a big task for me. So let's get this concisely and clearly out. Number 1 is one of my favorites, was the biggest gift, was the joy and the goodness and the gratitude, the embodiment of those things, the embodiment of joy, the embodiment of like the belief that people are good, humanity is good, and the gratitude for having this, not only having this experience and living it, but like everything that I've received in this, right? Received an abundance of friendships and memories, and also embodiment of childlike wonder, curiosity, and joy. You know, so within like I say, the first gift is that embodiment of joy and compassion and goodness of humanity, and like the embodiment of like the unity. Like when living and teaching abroad, because you're living and teaching as well. Like you're living abroad. I lived in each of these countries for at least 2 years. You know, I was in Spain for 4 years, so I did it slowly. It wasn't like traveling when we, you know, go from one place to the other. And, you know, it's just a different experience. It's not better. It's not what, like it's just different. And I do feel like living and teaching abroad, teaching is such a blessing, because you're in the community. You're in the community, you know, and you learn so much, and you just embody, like you learn so much about yourself in the learning about their culture and the country you're in and everything. Like it's such a gift of self-awareness and self-understanding and self-compassion and self-acceptance, and that just flows out to acceptance of others, compassion for others, you know, and self-awareness of others, and such a gift. So yeah, so number 1 is within the joy, goodness, and gratitude, and that embodiment is embodying that. I'm really bringing with like that childlike wonder, curiosity, and joy. And I have a lot of this. I have a lot of this to share. And, you know, embodying childlike wonder, curiosity, and joy. Like what I mean by that is, you know, just because you're living and you've got a daily life and it's relatively normal in that sense, you know, you're going to work every day, you're coming home, and, you know, but like you're in a different country and everything is new, everything is different, and, you know, you're just very stimulated, and it's just, you know, it's just the little things. It's my memories come from those small moments, right? Those small moments of like that feeling of the feet in the sand. And I know that you don't have to live abroad to go to the beach and put your feet in the sand. I know that, but it's just more grounded. That feeling of riding your bike home after I owned my own moped in Thailand, and I rode my bike, and I remember like being in the rain. I was riding my bike in the rain, and it was tropical rainstorm. We used to like have these raincoats. Like we used to drive from our school, you know, home. We all lived in the same building. It was the closest setup I had to Friends as well, where I lived in Thailand. And we used to like ride our mopeds home. And I remember this one time it was tropical rainstorm, and I was shivering on my bike, and the temperature was 25 degrees. I was shivering, it was 25 degrees. And I was like, wow, I've acclimatized. But I also remember being absolutely soaked through, literally like pants off when you get home, wring them out, like everything comes off. Literally, you're that soaked, even though you've got like this supposedly waterproof thing on. And just, I remember like being on my bike and just like, this is, and just smiling with gratitude and like, this is great. Like, you know, I own my own moped. I'm driving back from the school, from work, and then I'm like going out to eat this delicious Thai food. And I used to play a lot of sport in Thailand. I used to do Muay Thai and play tennis, like, you know, so I had lots of moments of that gratitude and that joy and curiosity, like adventuring in the mountains. I drove like for 3 hours and across the mountains in Thailand. You know, I visited my childhood home in Hong Kong. I used to live in Hong Kong as a child, from the age of 7 to 10 years old. And when I was there as an adult, I went to visit back like where I used to live as a child. So that brought out that childlike wonder and joy. And when I was in Spain, like just having those moments of especially when I started working for myself, like I would, you know, I experienced sunrise, like having the morning to myself and experience sunrise and just having those slow mornings, like so much, you know, so much compassion, so much joy and so much gratitude for those small moments. And I built a meditation community in Barcelona as well. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't self-employed and had that time and to do that. So, you know, and I was like, this is my life. Like I'm working right now and like, this is my life. And I'm so grateful for life. Like I just feel so, just like thinking, feeling about it now and sharing it with you. I feel so like, so alive and so like grateful that nothing is going to take that away. Like, and it's those moments, you know, that, those moments that really matter. So which leads on to number two is the joy and that gratitude like comes from those small moments. It's not, you know, I get asked a lot, like, what's your favorite country or what's your like, you know, favorite memory that you've got? And I'm like, there's so many small things that are so special to me that are the ones that truly stick with my heart. Like I'm, you know, like I said, I'm back on my nan's now, and I was just lying on my bed just before I went to sleep last night, and I was like, my heart is so full. My heart is so full right now. And just from like feeling and living those, you know, I just think about all the experiences I've had in these 8 years, and it's all a collection of small moments put together that make up this wholeness of this, like, just joy and gratitude. And, you know, that's not to say it's all fun and daisies. Like I'm also feeling the challenges in that, you know, like there were so many challenges. I had relationship challenges in Thailand with my friends. I really learned a lot about friendships in Thailand, and also like expressing my sexuality that came out in Thailand as well. And I learned about friendship and loyalty and honesty. And in Hong Kong, the challenges came, my depression and anxiety came up for me in Hong Kong as well. And within that, I learned to really focus more deeply in and learn to love myself and show up for myself, because it was so difficult for me to experience that again, for that depression anxiety to come up for me again, because I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm living like this wonderful life, like the life that I've been dreaming about. I'm living my dream of living and teaching abroad, but yet I'm here like depressed and highly anxious. Like what is going on? And I could look to my outside environment, right? I could look to, oh, Hong Kong is just not my place. And I don't believe that. No, it's not about the outside environment. It's about what's going on within, right? I experienced depression and anxiety because I was suppressing my own emotions. I was experiencing depression because I was suppressing my true nature. I was suppressing my emotions. I was suppressing my sexuality. So of course I experienced depression. I was experiencing anxiety because I was always so worried about on what's going on the outside, what others were thinking about me. I was worried about the future. I knew that I wasn't aligned. I knew that, you know, I had so much like that I was suppressing, so I felt depressed and anxious. And in there's the gift, right? Lies in there, the gift. And within that, I experienced, going back to the goodness of humanity, I saw the humanness in my head teacher at the time. I had to take two weeks off work because of depression and anxiety, and I saw the humanity in my head teacher. And she was one strict head teacher, you know, but she was really supportive and really understanding, really compassionate. And yeah, those 2 points are very interlinked. number one, and number two, goodness of humanity, and like those small moments, and like those small moments are truly what makes up the like arriving in Bangkok after a holiday, after visiting family back in England, and you're coming back to work, right? You're going back to your daily life, and you get the flight into Bangkok, and I felt like, okay, I feel a sense of home here, right? And the Thai smile, like related back to that first point of the childlike curiosity, wonder, and joy, like bringing that Thai smile energy to London. Like, I know it's going to be a challenge, of course. Like, what England is like in the winter, like it's dark, grey and rainy, and people don't smile that much. But like, I intend to bring that with me, bring this energy of like, I'm going to smile at people even on a rainy day. Is it going to be challenging? Yes, of course it is. Am I still going to do it? Yes, I am, because I'm choosing to focus on that. And that's not to say, toxic positivity. Like, no. If you know me at all, I'm all about feeling my emotions, like every single day, like but it's like, we do, it's a choice, right? In a world that, it's full of negativity, full of fear, full of all of this. Like, it's so important to choose what we focus on. And I really feel like living and teaching abroad has helped me to embody this and be like, there's so much, because there's also so many, like, there's bad, I won't say bad points, lack of a better word, to every country, right? There's pros and cons of every country, and you can certainly focus on the cons, but I don't want to. So it's really helped me to choose what I focus on. Yeah. Number 3, the last point in this episode, is actually really recently and related to the 2 previous points of like the goodness, right? The goodness of humanity, is I really saw this in the interviews that I had with schools in Costa Rica. Now, I was overflowing with opportunities, and I'm so grateful for the abundance of opportunities I had. I had 5 interviews. I had 3 interviews. I had 5 interviews set up, and I did 3 of them. And I felt like I chose to go through that process because it was, even though it was likely that I was deciding to stay in London, but the reason I chose to go through that process and do the interviews was 2 reasons. One, to really like honor myself as a professional teacher of like, I really want to see if this is aligned. Like, I really want to feel like these schools and, professionally as a teacher, like, is this aligned for me in my teaching career to go to this school and do this? And I really wanted to feel that. And although like these schools are, incredible, and like I said, I'm so grateful for the opportunity and the abundance of, interview offers I got. However, within this, I actually came to the realization of where I wanted to go with my future teaching career as well, and that was working in a special school as a special needs teacher. And this is what I did for 1 year before I left abroad. I left to teach abroad, and I knew it was it was challenging. It's very challenging, but it's also very rewarding. Like, these kids are incredible. Like, I can't believe I get paid. It's one of those things where like, oh my gosh, I get paid for this, because I feel like I get so much back from these kids as well.
Don't forget the cleaners. The cleaners coming at 12.
Okay.
So I'm going to get in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I get so much from these kids as well. So, God, Nana. Fuck's sake. Yeah, and I get so much from these children as well. Like, I get paid to do this, and that is incredible. So, the opportunities that I was getting from Costa Rica was mainly language arts, English teaching positions, which I love. Like, I love teaching English, like, especially creative writing and presentation and communication. I love this so much, but it wasn't truly aligned. Like, I'm good at it. I'm definitely good at it, and I like it, of course. But I felt like there was a reason I chose to work with kids with special needs, like, and I'll talk about more of that in another episode, but there's a reason for that. And, so professionally, in that process of interviewing, I realized actually special needs school is where I want to go with my teaching career, and that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for a special needs job in a school in London. So yeah, and then the other point related to those interviews is that I felt like a real big relief come off my shoulders of like, it's not just my responsibility here, is the knowing that there are good people doing good things, and our children are going to be okay. Our children are going to be okay. Right. And what I mean by that is, I always had this thing of, oh my gosh, we need to change education. Education needs to change. Like, it needs to be more individualized, needs to be, more focused on creativity. And it is happening. It's just really hard to see because it's a gradual process. Little side note, I took my best friend's granddad out for his birthday a couple of nights ago. He's 84 years old, and we had this conversation, and we just talked about like his education in the 70s compared to mine, and then compared to now, and what I've seen as a teacher. Like, it has changed. Our education system has changed. I just think it's really difficult to see when we are, well, it's happened so gradually, and two, we're in it, right? I'm in it. I mean, and maybe you're a parent and you've got kids at school, like, you're in it as well, we're all in it. I feel like education is such a personal thing. We're all in education in some way or another, whether you're a teacher, a parent, or like you're connected to someone who's in education, right? And I had this thing of like almost kind of this anger and this rage of like wanting to change education. But now I realize the best thing we can do is focus on ourselves and be that's old saying, be the change, right? Be the change. And and going through that process of the schools in Costa Rica really helped me to, like, I literally saw like there's so many good schools out there in Costa Rica, and not just in Costa Rica, like all over the world, but particularly those interviews in those schools in Costa Rica really just opened my eyes. It's really so much energy and passion and focus is going into education, sustainability and environmental education over there in Costa Rica. And I saw that from the passion and energy from the people who owned these schools in Costa Rica and were, interviewing me. And I was like, it was a big relief of the kids, our children, like our collective children, right, are going to be okay, like more than okay. They're going to thrive, because it's just all a ripple effect, isn't it? We're all connected. It's like the roots of the tree. And, if there's people in Costa Rica doing this, there's other people doing this in England and Spain and Hong Kong and Thailand and everywhere. There are people doing this. And I think for me, I definitely forgot that. I definitely started to focus on, I think I went through a phase of watching the news of how education is like needs to, and of course there are things, things that happen that aren't great, but like with everything, we get to choose what we focus on, right? Like related back to number one, so that's number three. Like there are good. Our children are going to be okay, and also I learned from that interview process of Costa Rica where I wanted to go professionally with my own teaching career. So that's it. So I hope you're number one to share that embodiment of childlike wonder, curiosity and joy with you, and come with me on the journey of bringing this to London. It's going to be a challenge. But is it? Is it going to be a challenge, or is that just my thinking? Maybe let's change that. It gets to be easy. But come with me on the journey. It's going to be fun. And also, like, so much so that I'm writing my first poetry collection is going to be focused around this of the childlike wonder, curiosity and joy. Like that. I won't talk about it so much because I want to focus my energy on it. But like this, I'm really like, I feel like I'm still in a process, now I get to embody this energy, in daily life in London, in the winter, in the black, wet, cold rain. You can tell I'm looking forward to it so much. But yeah, it's, it is what it is, right? Yeah, number two, the small moments. Like, I hope this really invites you to remember the small moments, and it's those small moments that really make up the quality of our lives, and within that presence, right? So bringing presence to those small moments, really breathing into those small moments, really breathing into life, and the joy and the gratitude that we are alive and we get to wake up every single day. Every single day, let's focus on those small moments, because those are what makes up a beautiful, wonderful life, and that is incredible. And then number two, our education, our children are already thriving, and they are being inspired already by wonderful educators, wonderful parents, wonderful people, and that is incredible. We are on a rise. Humanity is on a rise. We are remembering our unity, our oneness, our embodiment of unconditional love and acceptance and joy and peace, and that is incredible. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening in. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend or post it on social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping to get the message out. I am so grateful to be on this journey with you. Talk to you soon.